Hey there, thanks for tuning in to Duck Bricks. I'm Chris, and LEGO Dreamzzz is back in 2026 with what might be its final wave of LEGO sets ever. We've already taken a look at the sets, but now I want to do a video deep diving into the minifigure lineup of Dreamzzz 2026. Say what you will about the show, but I have always thought the minifigure designs are absolutely phenomenal. We get dual molded components, sometimes they get printing on the sides of the legs, you get all these crazy brand new molds for the villains and the heroes, and this wave is no different. The heroes are sporting brand new crystalline armor, they have these amazing dual molded swords, there's a brand new headgear for the main villain, the Nightmare Emperor, and so much to love here. So let's jump into my look at all of the brand new LEGO Dreamzzz 2026 minifigures. In January 2026, LEGO Dreamzzz may be releasing its final wave ever. We know we're not going to necessarily be getting a Season 4, but there may be a special somewhere later on in the year, and we have been getting a couple of shorts on the LEGO YouTube channel to tie into this story, but this seems like it's almost it. But to coincide with it, they put out 5 of some of the best LEGO Dream sets ever, and given that I've already reviewed all the sets, it's now time to take a look at all of the minifigures in the LEGO Dreamzzz 2026 lineup. These are featuring some brand new designs for the heroes and villains. Surprisingly, there's only one brand new character, a new villain in the form of Erika, but the rest of them are newly outfitted versions of the main heroes, as well as an updated version of the Nightmare King, who's now become the Nightmare Emperor, showcasing that he has grown a little bit older and has a specialized new headgear suggesting he might be actually controlled by the Undreamt, who appeared in Dreamzzz Season 3 as an evil octopus-like creature that now is suspiciously mounted on the top of the Nightmare Emperor's headdress, featuring a ton of extra creepy looking eyes sprouting out of the top. The lineup itself is really fun. There's basically at least 2 copies of almost every main character included throughout the sets. You get 3 Matteos, 2 Logans, 2 Izzys, 2 Coopers, only 1 copy of Zoey, who unfortunately seems to have gotten the short end of the stick, not featuring any brand new swords or armor accessories, and of course 1 new version of Mr. Oz. Strangely enough though, there isn't a new version of Albert the Monkey, who's appeared in pretty much every other Dreamzzz wave, as well as the other major character Astrid, although at this point in the story, who knows, maybe she's actually Erika but turned evil. In terms of the villains, we only get those 2 minifigures for Erika and the Nightmare Emperor, but we get a couple of new Grimmspawn to go alongside the villains, and of course, accompanying the heroes are new copies of Z-Blob as well as some Dreamlings and new treasure creatures, who are the main collectibles of the entire LEGO Dreamzzz wave, featured in all sorts of different colors. I also really love how pretty much all of the villains are accompanied by multiple copies of these spiders. Every set Erika appears in, of which she appears in 4 out of the 5, contains at least 3 spiders to make it seem like her entire body is made up of spiders or bugs, which is a very cool idea, and one that I'm very interested to see how they translate that to the show itself. Altogether, the lineup of minifigures is looking absolutely fantastic. Honestly, I would have swapped out one of the Matteos for another copy of Zoey just to make it super even in terms of getting 2 copies of all the main heroes, but other than that, I'm very happy with the amount of times we get some of these incredible minifigures, like the Nightmare Emperor coming in 3 sets with that absolutely amazing new dual molded head component is super cool. But now let's take a look at the main characters, starting off with the heroes, and then we'll take a look at the villains going on from there. We're going to kick things off by taking a look at the main protagonist of Dreamzzz, Matteo. Matteo actually technically gets 3 different unique figures across these sets. The base minifigure is the same, but the accessories he has do change from set to set. One of these sets showcases him with a transparent green shield, the other one with a specialized fox claw, and then of course in the 3rd set he just comes with his standard sword. And we'll take a look at the base minifigure right now. Matteo here, the main character of Dreamzzz, and he also has this almost knight-inspired vibe with a round shield and transparent green, as well as the dual molded sword that is colored in gold and trans green, same mold as the Nightmare King's. You'll notice that this is also the first minifigure we've seen utilizing this brand new armor element. It's an asymmetrical armor piece that almost kind of reminds me of the Legends of Chima armor in the sense that you can wear it either from the front or the back, and you can actually use the front to have a stud mounted in the center of the minifigure chests. In this minifigure in particular, you have the stud on the back of the model, and that is specifically to allow you to mount the sword in the back almost like he has it in a scabbard or he's wearing it on his back, which is really cool, and I'm very happy that they managed to design combine these two elements in tandem to allow you to make it look like they're carrying their swords on the backs, which is a really nice touch and something that I always appreciate about minifigure design. Matteo has dual molded legs here in black boots and dark gray legs. It's a much more muted color scheme than we're used to getting for Matteo, but honestly, I really like it. It feels a little bit more serious and down to earth as an actual outfit for him to wear, and of course, you do have a little bit of gold factored into the blue torso as well, with the hourglass symbol on the side of the torso. Altogether, this is a really nice iteration of Matteo. No printing on the side of the legs as we've kind of grown accustomed to for characters like Matteo, but honestly, if this is the final wave, this is not a bad final design of Matteo to get. Moving on, let's take a look at his sister, Izzy. We technically get two different unique variants of Izzy throughout the sets. One of them has this armor piece mounted the other way with a stud in the back, and then the one featured in the Tiger Shark tank has the stud in the chest, showcasing a specialized crystal on the center of the chest, very similar to some of the Chima minifigures. I actually really like how they added a little bit of variability when it comes to designing these minifigures for the LEGO Dream sets, just to make it feel like you're getting something a little bit different from set to set. Unfortunately, the copy of the minifigure that comes with the armor pointed in reverse does not actually allow you to mount the sword on the back, because obviously, while you can do it for all the other figures, the hair gets in the way there. So I actually do prefer the version of the minifigure with the crystal on the front of the chest, because at least you're utilizing the stud attachment on the armor in a way that actually can be used for the minifigure. And let's take a closer look at that one right now. Izzy also has that brand new armor piece, this time colored in the transparent satin opalescent color with the armor on the front, so you have the stud mounted on the front of the torso, and I do like how they give you a couple of different designs throughout the sets. Izzy and Matteo both appear in multiple different LEGO Dream sets this wave, but Izzy in particular has her armor wearing the other way for the other set where the stud is on the back, so it gives you a little bit of variability when it comes to each different figure. Of course, the sword itself is really fantastic. I honestly think the gold and transparent clear opalescent sword color is one of the best different color mixes for this particular blade. And then of course, when you remove the armor, she has great pearl gold legs. The magenta printing on the legs is a little bit faded on the pearl gold, and honestly, it just goes to show that LEGO still hasn't quite nailed printing one particular color on another, but I do think the rest of the design is quite nice. You have metallic blue factored into the design, which is really cool, and again, you have a more castle-inspired tunic here. It's not the most exciting version of Izzy that we've gotten. I think the one with printing on the side of the legs and the more jungle safari outfit that she got last year or the year before is probably one of my favorites, but this one is still good, and it's always a total treat getting that absolutely beautiful multicolored satin opalescent hair, which is one of the coolest hair pieces that LEGO has ever put out. From there, I want to take a look at the Cooper minifigures, and we'll actually spotlight both of them in this video because they're actually pretty different. One of them comes with this absolutely massive mech suit. He also has a different piece used for the hair there, a dual molded component that we saw in the previous wave, showcasing his signature bright light yellow hairpiece underneath a beanie cap, and then of course a massive backpack where he can attach to a walker mech. This one is currently exclusive to one of the villain builds, the Nightmare Scorpion Digger, and it actually is a really nice build that reminds me a lot of some of these smaller mech builds that we would get for stuff like LEGO Ultra Agents back in the day. I want to take a closer look at the minifigure for these separate sets, and thankfully he does also come with an armor piece and sword for his main set, the one featured in the Dino Jet, but this specialized minifigure with the extra arms on the backpack and the mini legs is so much fun. I love how he has this really cool robotic design, fully prepared for battle, and of course he can separate from the mech itself. You can remove the extra arms and legs and then pull into the actual minifigure close-up itself. This one is super close to the other minifigure, but of course he does have this large-scale red backpack on instead, with the 4 studs in the back to attach him to the mech suit, but I want to spend a lot more time taking a look at the graphic design for this character because it's actually one of my favorite Dreamzzz minifigures ever. So to do that, let's take a look at the other Cooper minifigure right now. Cooper here is the star of the show for this set, and he has one of the coolest LEGO Dreamzzz minifigure designs that we've gotten maybe ever. I don't know what they are preparing for in Dreamzzz Season 4, but Cooper is prepared for battle here. He has a really interesting new silver head print, which has a very cool mask on it, which just looks really interesting with these slitted blue eyes. He also has a brand new armor element that most of the new LEGO Dreamzzz characters have in transparent orange for him, featuring crystal on one side and a smaller armor patch on the other, which also can be worn in reverse to utilize the stud on the back for some sort of detail on the front of the torso. And like all of of the new LEGO Dreamzzz characters, he is sporting a brand new dual-molded sword accessory. This is a really cool accessory, and I love the color scheme here. In the transparent orange and silver, it almost feels like an Imperium weapon from Ninjago, but I think it works so well for the character, and especially for the high-tech aesthetic of Cooper. The alt face that he has on the back is also very nice. It showcases the mask almost like retracted into the face with the face underneath, and I feel like that's just definitely going to come into handy for all sorts of different sci-fi and robotic aesthetics. It's a very cool design and easily my favorite design of Cooper to date. Even though there's nothing super crazy going on, like no dual molded legs or printing or anything, I just feel like the minifigure and graphic design goes absolutely insanely hard for this character. He has his traditional red coat, but you can see a lot of robotic detail underneath. There's gunmetal gray legs with really cool robotic style knee pads and boots on the feet as well, and of course the Dreamcrafter logo on the center of the chest too. I really also like the inclusion of this smaller hood element. I feel like it fits the character very well, and one other thing that's really nice is that all of the new armor pieces were designed in conjunction with the swords, so you can actually make it look like he is holding his sword on his back, sort of like in a scabbard, as well as utilizing all the different other clip component connections of the sword itself. You can even have a little bar on the sword in the center of the blade to allow you to hold it in a slightly different way, and while I don't really know what you would necessarily do with that particular build, I still do think that the sword in conjunction with the armor is one of the coolest new pieces and accessory elements that we're getting for LEGO Dreamzzz. Moving on to Logan here, Logan has a similar design, and I think this one is just alright. They've recolored the Joker hair from the LEGO Batman movie in dark blue for Logan, which I think actually fits the character quite well. For his sword, he has a transparent blue and silver blend, and the armor itself is in transparent blue. The actual design of the torso is interesting. It feels almost post-apocalyptic. He has a dark blue tattered cloth across the top of the torso. There's a ton of orange straps making up the detail on the torso itself, and then the legs are bright flame yellowish orange, which is relatively consistent with a lot of the other Logan figures, but I don't know, I feel like it just kind of takes away from the more serious or dark blue aesthetic that he has for the rest of the figure, and then he has these very bright pants. The face itself is the same from what we've seen from Logan in previous years. One side he has these angry red eyes, and the other side he has his happy expression with glowing yellow eyes. Not really sure why they keep using that red eyes face, because I don't think we've ever really seen it used that much in the show, but it works okay for these sets themselves, and of course, much like Cooper, he does have the option to mount the sword on his back, which I think also looks really good when the anti-stud on the sword is attached to the back of the armor, and then of course you can utilize all the different clip connections for the minifigure as well. Of course, there is one other variant of Logan included throughout the Dream sets. This one has the armor on reverse with a stud in the center of the armor, super reminiscent of Chima, especially with that blue stud in the center of the chest, but honestly, I like this one a little bit less because it doesn't take advantage of the stud being on the back, which allows you to, of course, mount the sword on his back. It's still a cool minifigure, and obviously you can just flip the armor around and basically call it the exact same as the other figure, but I definitely do appreciate the version of the character that really allows you to take full advantage of that brand new armor piece, which works so well in conjunction with the sword. But now let's take a look at the final team member of the main Dream Chasers, which is of course Zoey. Zoey only comes in one other set this wave, the Crocodile Submarine, and unfortunately, unlike all of the other minifigures, she does not receive the new transparent armor and sword upgrade. It's really weird to me how she was the only minifigure left out of that design, and honestly feels very strange. I don't really know why LEGO chose just specifically her to not have those upgraded elements, other than probably for budget reasons. They had to pick one minifigure not to get the new upgrade, and unfortunately they chose her, maybe because her sets don't sell the best or the character isn't super popular, but I don't know. It feels very strange to have all of the other heroes outfitted in brand new gear, and Zoey to admittedly get a brand new torso and leg combo, which is nice to see, but again, that is the only new addition to the build here, and everything else about the minifigure is just pretty much reused from other waves. You have the purple quiver, which we've seen before, the same purple hairpiece, and even the same headpiece and purple bow. So honestly, very disappointing to see that, especially because it feels like she just doesn't really quite match up with the other characters. I like the design enough. I think the dark gray for the legs actually works pretty well. Lavender for the arms looks good, as well as the metallic printing for the torso, and the purple color scheme is a really cool one, but honestly just makes me wish we got a dual molded sword in trans purple or armor piece in trans purple, because I think that would have looked so cool, and it's very sad that she doesn't get the same love as the rest of the characters. It's especially jarring seeing her next to all of the other main Dream Chasers who have the identical different armor elements, recolored colored in specialized colors to fit their characters, and every single one of them wielding a unique sword element except for Zoey. Super weird, I don't really know why that's the case, and unfortunately kind of feels like LEGO just giving the female characters the short end of the stick in an action-adventure theme, which often happens, especially even for themes like Ninjago, but alas, what can you do? Of course, there is one more main hero minifigure to look at here before we take a look at the villains, and that is Mr. Oz. Mr. Oz, as I mentioned, seems to have traded in his affections for classic space, and instead is repping classic castle, which is pretty funny. He has the classic Black Falcon's logo mounted on his chest, although some would say that in the more technological Black Falcon's design, this could be even more of a Clay Morrington reference for the Nullum Knights in LEGO Nexo Knights instead. This is a really nice design for Mr. Oz. I love the pearl gold torso and legs. I think the color scheme of the dark blue and gold looks really good, and this just fits absolutely right in with the more technological side of this build. As per usual, he has his metallic silver colored beard, which is always pretty funny to see because you don't even see the beard anyway with the headpiece he has on, but they decided to color it metallic silver anyways, and he does have that same scope on the side of his head that we've seen on other iterations of the minifigure. He's utilizing the LEGO Ninjago Season 13 Master of the Mountain Knight armor, which I think works very well for the character, and he also has a large warhammer built up with LEGO bricks, which also looks really good. Altogether, this is a really solid version of Mr. Oz. Definitely one of my favorites that we've seen so far. I always like that he seems to have heavy armor in the sets, and this one being more knight-inspired is very cool, especially with the print detail on the minifigure. Altogether, if this is the last time we see minifigure versions of these characters, I actually do really appreciate that they still managed to give them all-out specialized new armor elements, sword elements, and new prints for the torsos and legs, especially if the theme is kind of on its way out. Especially for Mr. Oz, I think this is a really cool design that you can totally use in all sorts of other applications. I can see folks utilizing that torso for a golden Black Falcon Knight, so that really works very well. Of course, there's a couple of other smaller microfigures, minifigures. I don't really know what officially we're supposed to call these, but they're the little gremlins that we get for dreams, the dreamlings, so to speak, and we get two of them in the Tiger Shark Tank. They're utilizing the exact same headpiece we've seen for the other dreamlings from all the other sets in the wave, going all the way back to 2023's launch, but I do like how the pair of them actually do kind of align with the theming of that set that they come in. A pirate captain themed one, and then of course a pilot themed one, which in conjunction with each other just work really well, and I think these are super cute and fun little companions to get. But with that, let's now take a look at the villains, and of course, we have to start off with the Nightmare Emperor. And this is a phenomenally designed figure. This is easily one of my favorite LEGO Dreamzzz villain designs, and while it does feel like a little bit of a rehash to just get the Nightmare Emperor again as an upgraded form of the Nightmare King from the first season, I think they did a really good job at depicting him in a really new and unique way. There is a hint towards the Undreamt being a part of his design, as we know in Dreamzzz Season 3 that ended on a bit of a cliffhanger with the Undreamt being in the outside world, and I actually think that these squid-like tentacles on the top of his head might actually be the Undreamt controlling him, which makes sense because it was in an octopus form when we first saw it in Season 3. That new crown element is super cool. You have a dual molded magenta element for the tentacles of the extra eyes on top of the crown, black crown itself, which kind of has an almost samurai-like aesthetic for the design of the crown, and then of course the Nightmare Emperor has a brand new face showcasing that the character has aged a little bit, and he has a long white beard as well. He is still utilizing the same rubberized cape that we saw for the Nightmare King's first appearance in 2023, but that cape was absolutely phenomenal, and I'm glad they're getting more use out of that part. The rubberized nightmare seeping off the cape is such a cool and unique design, and I just love how they were able to translate that into a physical piece. Of course, the design of the torso is quite nice as well. You can see that there's little tentacles kind of wrapping around the torso, which actually suggests that maybe the Undreamt is controlling him, and you even have an eye printed on the center of the torso, which is really cool and a bit unfortunate because obviously that's covered up by the beard, but I still think it is a really nice torso design. Much like the heroes, the Nightmare Emperor also has this brand new sword mold that is dual molded in black and transparent pink with the traditional eye design on it, which I think looks really cool and definitely just adds a lot to the aesthetic of this villain. We've only one other minifigure included throughout the sets, and that is Erika, a new villain who actually only has legs in 2 out of the 4 sets they appear in. One thing I really love about this minifigure is that in every single set Erika appears in, 4 out of the 5 new LEGO Dream sets, they're accompanied by these 3 spiders that almost make it feel like they're part of the body. It almost feels that this character is comprised of a lot of different bugs or insects, and I think that is a really cool idea for a character, one that we just saw with Drix from Ninjago's Forbidden 5, but I'm curious how LEGO Dreamzzz pulls this one off. This one is the least built up version of the character. Some of the other iterations of the minifigure in other sets come with a centipede design or a spider walker, and this one is just the standard minifigure utilizing the dual sights, almost like praying mantis claws, but thankfully this one does actually include specialized printed legs for the character, which only appear in this set as well as the Nightmare Scorpion Digger. The face design as well is really nice. I like the 6 eyes and the hint at these little beady white pupils inside the eyes themselves. It's just a really cool design, and I'm very curious how this is going to come across in the show. This one is really nicely built up. I love the recolor of the LEGO Nexo Knights blade, which I can't believe is still in production in trans pink. It is just a really cool color scheme to get, and of course, removing the hood, you can take a look at the head print underneath, which has a little bit of a suggestion of pupils in these 6 eyes here. Very cool minifigure design, love the creepy aesthetic, and definitely excited to see this one in action in these shorts. We haven't seen it yet, we've only really seen the Nightmare Emperor present in the Dreamzzz shorts, so I'm very curious what story role this character is going to play, and maybe it is actually a returning character, which sometimes LEGO Dreamzzz likes to do, making a surprise reveal that one of the villains is actually a character we've seen before. Could it be Astrid? Who knows? And finally, there's one last variant of Erika who appears in one of the largest sets of the wave, and that is Erika in centipede form, which is a very intricate built-up creature. Erika seems to be a brand new character, although sometimes LEGO Dreamzzz does like pulling twists of making certain villains other characters we've already seen in the show. I've seen folks speculate that this might be even like Astrid converted into villain form, and we don't know if that's the case, but I still do think that this is a really cool villain, especially because every single time that Erika appears in one of the LEGO Dream sets, she is accompanied by 3 different spiders that kind of go alongside the body, make it feel like the entire body of this character is made up of insects. This is the centipede form of Erika, which is a lot of fun to look at, but honestly not the most fun to play with unless you have it just pressed flat on the ground. It is a pretty unstable build, and it kind of tends to topple over. It's super front heavy in the way it's designed, and obviously there are ways to mitigate that. You can kind of lay the front part completely flat down on the ground and have it be a longer centipede on the ground. You could have the bottom triangular part of the slope be resting on the ground and move the legs and claws downwards to make it a little bit more low riding, allowing you to get a different pose out of it. And there are different things you can do to play around with it, but it's definitely something that I'm sure will look a lot cooler in the show or whatever media we'll get for LEGO Dreamzzz than just able to play with as a standard LEGO toy, because it is so front heavy. Still, I think the graphic design for the character is great. Every set the character appears in is very consistent, utilizing these dual sights, almost like praying mantis style claws on the arms as well, which are really good. And of course, you get a really nice head print design with these 6 eyes and little white pupils inside the 6 eyes themselves, which is really cool. And finally, accompanying all the villains throughout pretty much every single set are sets of Nightmare Grimmspawn. All of them feature unique accessories and headgear, but they all share the same brand new print of the head, and I actually really love this print. You have a demonic carved rune into the forehead, glowing green and white eyes and teeth. I think that minifigure head design is super cool. I'm sure folks are going to really love using it in their own custom minifigure creations, which is probably what it was designed for, and I do like how every single set does bother to give you a slightly different one. From a more Grim Reaper aesthetic with a scythe, to a knight with an axe, to one with a top hat and a cleaver, there's actually quite a lot of different variations of these, and each one kind of suggests it's its own character, which is really nice. And finally, there's only a few other minifigure adjacent characters included throughout the 2026 Dreamzzz wave. In addition to 3 copies of Z-Blob, always good to get that, we have a brand new mold for a treasure creature. These seem to be little creatures that can transform into large-scale vehicles and animals, as we've seen throughout some of the LEGO Dreamzzz shorts already, and I think they're super cute. We get them in a few different colors: transparent green, blue, orange, as well as this transparent opalescent satin clear one, which is super cool. I think one of my favorites has got to be the orange one. I just think that color scheme is super solid, but all of them make for really fun collectibles, and of course, it's always good to get brand new animals in LEGO form. Altogether, this has been a really interesting wave of LEGO Dreamzzz. I honestly love most of the character designs. Arika, while being a relatively boring minifigure, makes up for it by having all these crazy and unique contraption builds for the insect forms that they take on throughout the other sets, and of course, the main heroes are honestly looking like some of the best designs that we've seen from LEGO Dreamzzz yet. It is a big shame to me though that Zoey seems to have been left out from the brand new minifigure designs. I honestly feel like it would have been so cool to get new colors for transparent purple armor and the transparent purple sword, but sadly she mostly is just reusing pre-existing minifigure components, which really is a sign that the Dreamzzz budget seems to be kind of running out. Still, getting new armor elements in different colors for the main heroes, as well as those amazing new dual molded swords for both the heroes and villains is really nice to see, and they definitely are some of the coolest accessories that we've gotten for LEGO Dreamzzz yet. But with that, we've summed up my look at every single one of the new LEGO Dreamzzz minifigures. Definitely a very controversial theme that's had its ups and downs over the years, but I'll be sad to see it go, especially if this is the final wave of LEGO Dreamzzz. I always love supporting original LEGO themes. I remember being so excited when LEGO Dreamzzz dropped in 2023. I literally was filming LEGO Masters when rumors and news first came out, and I was sitting in my hotel room before filming the show, getting really excited over the minifigure designs, the characters, and the villains, and, well, time has really flown. 3 years later, and LEGO Dreamzzz is almost wrapping up. It's lasted a lot longer than a lot of other LEGO themes that are original themes nowadays, but honestly, I feel like it just never really quite found its footing. And maybe that's because it kind of tried to be too much of a kitchen soup theme. They were trying to throw together all sorts of different ideas and concepts into one particular theme, where it didn't really feel like it was a theme at all. If anything, I hope that LEGO learns from the lessons that LEGO Dreamzzz had to offer the company. I'm sure they learned a lot throughout the 3 years it was in development, and I really hope that the next original LEGO theme is maybe just a little bit more focused on one particular idea, a core concept, and not just trying to throw everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. Still, LEGO Dreamzzz was definitely a really fun theme that gave us some incredible minifigure parts and accessories, as you can see here, and I certainly am a big fan of the way that Dreamzzz seems to be ending. So that's pretty much all I have to say for this video. Stay tuned for a mega review and kind of look back at all of LEGO Dreamzzz coming out soon, and thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon, and bye for now. I also do want to state thank you so much for your patience, as I have been on vacation and traveling for work as well while filming all of these videos, which means that I've had to literally set up in random hotel rooms and make use of what filming locations I can. So appreciate everybody's patience for me not being in my lightbox for most of these videos, and stay tuned for more regularly scheduled Duck Bricks content coming your way very soon after all this new stuff is done.